And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. I don't even know the words to that song. I just had to get that out there because, so I was gonna not go to work today, and so I was scrolling through TikTok, and then I felt guilty. I was like, I know I need to take care of a couple things today, so I'm only gonna work a half day. I was scrolling through TikTok, and clearly, obviously, I like travel and that type of thing, but I came across a whole bunch of people talking about, you know, Americans. Well, it was actually TikTok and YouTube, right? There was this guy, he was a British guy, he's on TikTok and he likes to debunk things about America, right? He's like always talking about, like, one of the things he was talking about was, you know, everyone talks about Americans not traveling, but yes, they do. So he took a an overlay of the United States and placed it over Europe so that people could see context on how big the United States is. And that was just like the contiguous 48, the lower 48. That wasn't like, and then he took Alaska and overlaid as well, just so they could see how huge America is. And he basically says, yeah, like they do travel. They just travel with the United States. Then there was another TikToker who was like, "Hey, I live in Maryland, and I used to have to drive like a day and a half or whatever it was out to Yellowstone because I worked at Yellowstone. I've made that drive like 4 times. I've done that for the last couple years or so." And basically, what he said was when he was visiting in New Zealand, and he would run across people from Europe, and they would laugh at him because he said he had been to only like 4 other countries. Many of the people I know, now, granted, this is just based off of my experiences, but over a lifetime, so many people I know, they would get in their car and they would travel to these wonderful destinations, and they could tell you more about the United States than I ever could. Okay, there are places that I want to visit, but I just haven't gotten there, and that's primarily because I like to spend um, most of my travel time in dollars traveling outside of the United States. And I do that because when I get older, I don't plan on being on anybody's plane. I don't want to be in there for any long periods of hours. I don't want to do any of that kind of stuff. I want to be able to be older and just be in the car or nowhere at all. But I was thinking about even some neighbors of mine for spring break. They took their children to Arizona. And so they were going to visit the Grand Canyon. They were going to go to Sedona and some other place. Now, I have been to the Grand Canyon and I have been to Sedona. I've been to Boulder, like I saw the Red Boulder Rocks and all other stuff. My kids have not been on that particular excursion. And I'll say this, the gentlemen that were on TikTok talking about Americans do travel. It's just that the country is so big and they can see so much in their own country. They don't have to even leave the country. And let me just say this. Now, I'm going to speak like the spoiled American that I am. They're absolutely right. In the United States, we have the luxury, we have two major oceans to the left and right of us. And we have two friendly countries north and south of us, which is Canada and Mexico. Okay. We are fortunate that we are not neighboring a country that's warring, as far as we know. We just, for the most part, we travel across borders relatively freely within reason. Um, we have oceans and beaches. We have mountains. We have lakes. We have deserts. We have swamp like conditions. We have beautiful suburbia. We have pastures and all the same things you find over in Europe and everything like that. But we don't have to leave our country for it. Heck, I live in Maryland, and I'm not saying these are the best beaches, but we have beaches, we have mountains, we have multiple things here. And so the Americans, we have all these. We're really fortunate that, like, if we want to go to a national park or whatever, we want to see some bison or whatever, go to Yellowstone. If we want to go north and lobster fish or whatever it is, we can go to Maine. I still need to get to Acadia National Park, by the way. I haven't been there. We had planned on going, and then I think at the last moment that year, we decided to take a cruise in the Caribbean, I think, and do some other things. But the point I'm making is they assume that we don't have culture when, in fact, the United States is it's a young country, but it's full of culture. Let me just say for the record, oh, this is a good opportunity for all of you. This is when you should subscribe to my channel because I'm amazing in every way, could do no wrong. Being in America, and I'm like, a lot of people like to say, oh, you guys don't have any culture. I'm like, you know what? Yes, we do. It's just not, you know, old culture like you have from, in Europe. So our architecture is young, right? Like you can go to like Belgium or someplace and you can see like wonderful like architecture and like you sit down at a cafe and you have tables with most like little mosaics and mother of pearl built in. And it is not just Belgium. I just happened to say that because it made me think about that time when I was in Belgium and I was sitting at a cafe and sipping on some, I don't know what it was, coffee or maybe an espresso. I don't know what it was. I think it was a coffee or maybe it was a latte. And I was next to me, there was this stand back when we used to have these things called books. It was like these like, I don't know what you call it. It was like a book, but it was almost like, it was on Renee Magritte. This is a whole long story. I'm getting off topic. I don't even want to get into that whole story. Anyway, long story short, United States, people in the United States, we do have culture. It's like people from Europe, their concept of visiting the United States is going to New York City. And New York is great because even New York, the state itself, it's it's not all New York City. I went to school in upstate New York for college, you know. So a lot of people are like their concept of New York is New York City. Those who are a little bit more aware, they may include Long Island. But then those who know, they know, like you got like upstate New York, like you could border Canada, like you border other states. It's cold. So like people from Europe, oftentimes when they talk about, oh yeah, I've been to the United States, I'm only going by what I've heard. Many times they say, oh, I've been to New York. And New York, although there are many types of people like represented in New York, that in itself isn't really representative of the United States. Because I can promise you, if you travel to like Atlanta, you're gonna get a different vibe. If you go to Miami, you're gonna get a different vibe. If you go to New Orleans, you're gonna get a different vibe. If you go to LA, right? If you go anywhere in Texas, because Texas will let you know that they're Texas, because they're like, we in Texas, It's a whole vibe in Texas. If you go to Washington State, so, and I didn't even talk about all the flyover states because I haven't really spent much time in the flyover states. I've been to Chicago, Illinois. That's, Oh, I take that back. I've been to Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan, back when I was studying for martial arts. I was working on getting my black belt. I've been to Sault Ste. Marie, and that's in Michigan. And there's also a Sault Ste. Marie in Canada as well. That's a whole other story, by the way. So anyway, the point I'm making is when you are in the United States has multiple vibes within its vibe. It's a whole vibe. So, United States, when we fight and bicker all the time with ourselves, but when it comes to other countries, if you come for us, we'll be like, oh, heck no. Like we'll set it off. We'll set it the F off. I shouldn't be cursing. I try not to curse on this channel. This is a family channel. But what I'm saying is, a lot of times people think that people in the United States don't have history, they don't have culture. The culture in the United States is built off of a lot of stuff. And we're such a unique country. Um, We're a blend of shenanigans and other cultures and innovation and everything else. We are our own vibe. But like I said, when you're in the United States, many of the people will get in their car. That's why we are obsessed with our cars here. Because see, in Europe, you guys are these tiny little countries and you walk a lot, right? Well, here, as you see, I'm on my way to work. I'm still in my vehicle. I've got to drive. Now I was cutting through some areas. Now I'm on the main road. But we get in our cars. There's a reason why we like our cars to be built a certain way. We spend time in our vehicles. It's a completely different lifestyle here, right? So people will get in their car and drive somewhere. They have no problem with driving somewhere. Okay? Now we also will fly, but people don't realize a lot of people from Europe, I mean, I know they know this logically, but they really don't realize for us to get from the East Coast to the West Coast, that's 4 or 5 hours of flying. All they got to do is hop on a plane, and within 30, 40 minutes, they're in the country. Or they can drive somewhere and be there within an hour. So, anyway, I said what I said. You guys don't have to like what I'm saying, but the United States actually, the people in the United States, they do travel. They cross different borders. They cross boundaries. They do all that stuff. We do it. All right. We basically have a whole bunch of different environments. We have a whole bunch of different foods. We have a whole bunch of different like accents or dialects, whatever it is. Anyway, I just want to get that off my chest about the United States, people in the United States not being well traveled in culture. The people here don't feel like they have to leave the United States. They've got everything they need here. The people here feel like, you know what, over in Europe, you guys have to travel. They're like, we can stay right here. We don't even, a lot of people don't even have passports. They're like, we can stay right here. We can stay right here and we can go travel from state to state and get different tastes of food and barbecue and Tex-Mex and I don't know, Italian hoagies and the whole situation. We create our own stuff here. But all right, I just want to get that off my chest. All right, now I'm gonna have to actually make a better video for my travel channel. But all right, you guys go check out my travel channel. It's Bow Travels, BOW Travels. I'm amazing over there. I actually pay somebody to edit some of my videos too. All right, talk to you later.